Well, hello and welcome. I'm Joanne Williams. This is Anxiety Simplified podcast that always goes beyond psychology. And usually we are the mother daughter duo. Today it is just me, Joanne Williams, and I'm a 30-year mental health professional. And I usually have my co-host and daughter, Seraphine, who's off today. But today, what we're going to be covering is how to get a certification for a psychiatric service dog and so that you can bring them in all public places, fly with them, or be in housing with you illegally. I will introduce Riley. He is actually my psychiatric service dog to fly, so I don't have panic attacks. And it can be a little dog, it can be a big dog. And so, sorry if you can't see him, but he's just a little 8-pounder. So today, there's also some new regulations with the CDC that I want to go over today in this slideshow. So sorry, podcasters, you're not going to be able to see it. You can go to my different pages, but TikTok, I will have something on as well as my on YouTube. My channel name is Anxiety Podcast. So, Anxiety Simplified, sorry, podcast. So you could see more there. So, I just want to say that, things do change, and will be mostly about psychiatric service dogs, how to use them, and the certification process for that with me, Joanne Williams. And I've done this I'm a 30-year mental health professional, but I've done this for about 10 years now, starting with emotional support animals, and now it's gone into fly. You have to have a psychiatric service dog. So that's mostly what I'm going to talk about. I do certify for emotional support animals as well, but it is only for housing. If they help you with the daily functioning, like they help you sleep better, concentrate better, or maybe it is to get out more. It's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more specific for psychiatric service dogs. So that's what I'm going to go over. And to get a legal certified psychiatric service dog with me, there are 2 sessions. And the first session is really to find your psychological symptoms. And then we connect those dots with the task that your dog helps you with, which is under the ADA law. The Fair Housing Law is for housing. The flying law, it's the Air Carriers Access Act. It has to be a psychiatric service dog. And now under ADA requirements, also you can take your dog everywhere with you. So stores, restaurants, hotels. And now, since 4 years ago, the flying law has taken the language instead of from the Fair Housing Act, they're taking it from the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA. And so their definition of what a psychiatric service dog must be is that your dog must recognize, respond, and reduce your psychological symptoms. So in the first session, we got to find the symptoms. We got to find the what's going on in your life that's affecting you, whether it's anxiety, depression, um, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic attacks, whatever that might be. And again, then we connect the dots, how your dog helps you with that. And so the second session to me it's a training, and it's about building confidence to understand the details of the 3 laws for housing, flying, and all public places under the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. What to say, what you never have to say. Well, how to use, you get a little photo ID, and I'm showing that now. It's a little laminated, about the size of a business card, with your dog's name, picture on it, and name, and your name, and what you never have to say in any of these places. And I also get you a letter that you would receive after the certification sessions and training, and so that you could give that to your property manager, because it is still required under the Fair Housing Act that you do have documentation from a mental health professional that does state you meet the requirements. So that is one thing I can do also. So there's really 3 laws with the ADA, where the emotional support animals is only one, the Fair Housing Act, or for housing. And to me, the second session, First session, I always go through your symptoms, help you understand what does it mean to be depressed, overwhelmed, your motivation is affected, and what you can do about it. Or if post-traumatic stress disorder from a time in your life, any time in your life that you felt like your life was threatened with serious injury, harm, or some kind of violence, whether it's physical violence, sexual violence, and you felt afraid for your life. That's the first symptom in post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of people don't even understand that. Same for a panic attack. Most people don't even know what that is. They think, oh, I just kind of get worried. And, or, that really the symptoms are my heart races, I get hot, sweaty, short of breath. And that affects me so that I cannot fly and things like that, or I don't go to crowded places because of it. And you could actually take your dog with you. They help you in these situations. That's why I feel so strongly about this. Ways to be able to do this under 3 laws that have been there for over 50 years. And then you are considered to have a disability, psychological, psychiatric disability. And that's why they have to accommodate you in housing, to fly, and to go in all public places. So that's what this is really about, to help you. And I want you to know how and what to say in situations. And that's what I consider the training. Understanding even what it means. The definition is even confusing to most people, that they don't even know that it is that your dog has to recognize, respond, and reduce symptoms. So that's to me why it's so important to understand this clearly so you can have some confidence and know that you are not doing anything wrong. Because that's what a lot of times we feel with when we have anxiety, feel like we're doing something wrong, and that makes us worried. And I want you to understand you are not. You are doing everything that is required. And that's what is important. You feel confident about once you know the laws, once you know what to say, you're going to feel confident to be able to use your dog in these instances. I should say emotional support animals could be any kind of animal if they help with a daily functioning, like I said, sleep, concentration, getting out more, where it's only dogs for psychiatric service dogs. And you can have more than one dog. I will certify for 2 if each of them help with a task. And so what is a task? A task under the ADA law that your dog is trained to do is, again, that they recognize, respond to some kind of psychological symptoms like anxiety, overwhelm, post-traumatic stress disorder, or, it could be any combination, autistic disorders that, there's behavioral issues, or even dementia that your dog helps with. It calms them, reduces the symptoms. And most people think, though, that the training is behavioral, and there's a real confusion. I think even at the airlines and even other places, restaurants, whatever. No, it's not about that. It's about, again, under the ADA law's definition, a dog must recognize, respond, and reduce psychological symptoms. All of our dogs, even our emotional support animals, to be in housing have to be behaviorally trained. So that does not say that dogs can be naughty. They have to be under your control at all times and know how to sit, stay, and come. That's some basics. But for psychological systems, they need to also know how to do that as well as respond to your psychological needs. And I go in the second session or training, I go through the airlines form. It's called the Department of Transportation Service Animal form because it's very confusing, if you ask me. And people get very concerned about some of these questions and don't know what to do. Once you've done it a few times, and I ask you to even make a template because they ask for your dog's name 12 times. They ask some questions you just may get confused on. We go through almost every line, know how to do it, don't leave anything blank. And once you send it in, you will know what to do to get your confirmation email, how to take that to the airlines, get it in at least 2 days before you fly, those kinds of things, because that's what makes people anxious. I don't know what to do. There's also, and I go through this now in the second session, the training session. There is new CDC requirements, and it really is confusing to people. And this new CDC requirements is done by customs. Customs people. They don't know about dogs. They don't know about psychiatric service dogs or dogs in general, but here's the new requirements. And this starts August 1st, 2024. Your dog must appear healthy. Okay. Be at least 6 months old. How do they know that? Be microchipped. And it's according to certain microchip types. You'd have to research that. And there is an 800 number I'll give you. And there is a form you must submit online. Feel it. It's super simple. And it's mostly about where your dog has been for the last 6 months. And if that country has rabies that's kind of not under control, if it's one of the ones that is, then you just have to say, this is my dog, who I am, and hit submit. But you want to get the receipt. And the receipt is what you present to the customs person. And if you're watching this, you'll see that it said it's complete, and you want that. And there's even give you another email that has everything on there. So you have to present this. I also recommend, since this is relatively new, the letter that I give to you, once you're certified, you also have an ID. I would bring that ID and I would bring that letter with you so that, again, there's just no question that you have met these requirements, because again, this is new and I just don't know what customs people are going to be doing with this currently. But there is also an 800 number that you can call if you have questions about this. But remembering, this is only if you're bringing your dog back into the US. It's not about flying. There's 2 forms for flying. One is only if you fly over 8 hours. The other one you do have to submit every time to a new airlines. But the CDC has this new requirement for only if dogs are coming back into the US, if you're taking them to Mexico or wherever, South America, Europe. There's an 800 number, and it's 800-232-4636. Again, 800-232-4636. Or you can go to CDC-INFO. CDC-INFO online, and they've got all the forms and they've got everything right there for you. So you can understand it. This number is even to help you fill out the form. All right. So additionally, in this second session, I do go through how to use the photo ID that you do receive. Also, it's a little laminated card. And because this is needed at different times and places, going into a restaurant, going into a store or a hotel, just easy just to kind of go here, this is a psychiatric service dog. And, or if somebody asks you kind of crazy questions, there's really only 2 questions that can be asked. What is the task your dog is trained to do? And is your dog required because of a disability? You need to know how to respond to that. And that's part of this training. I go through exactly according to your symptoms, what is required, what you need to know, and what to say. And it can be even used like for Uber or other places. Again, because whether it's under public transportation, Ubers are required to take a service dog. And same for Airbnbs. They think sometimes it is their private residence, but because they're using it for public use, they are really to take your dog, and you should never pay extra, whether it is in housing or Airbnb for a service dog. No pet fees, because they're not a pet, they're a service dog. And same in housing. No pet fees, no pet rents, things like that, because they're not a pet. And it does take them out of that category. About 4 years ago, when the airlines did change their law, going from the Fair Housing Act to the Americans with Disabilities Act definition, they're the ones that I believe coined the term psychiatric service dog. Before, it was just service dog. And, there was for emotional issues, psychiatric issues, but now or medical issues like hearing impaired or blindness. So that I kind of categorize now more as a medical or psychological. People also sometimes get confused about therapy dogs or think that this would be a therapy dog. That's a whole nother class that needs to be trained to behave, to go into nursing homes, hospitals, VA, just to comfort kind of people, to visit people. And so there is a certification for that, but it is more that they have to behave and they have to be kind and nice and like people, but it has nothing to do with psychological symptoms. It is a third kind of class of this. So you do get a letter, you do get a photo ID for you to be able to use with ease going into places. And then I also go over what to do if somebody does try to refuse you. And because it can be confusing and you kind of freeze up, especially if you have anxiety or PTSD. There is a fight or flight or freeze. You run away. I'm not dealing with this. Avoid, avoid. Or you don't, or you freeze up. Oh, I don't know what to do. I make sure you know exactly what to say non-confrontatively about basically showing the ID and saying, are you refusing me? And if you are, this is considered discrimination under the ADA. But then it does become a legal issue. And that's why people don't really want to do it. And I get it. I find that the confidence is really the main thing that is the differentiator between what people are going to ask you and just let you go by. It's the way you present yourself. And so that's what the second session truly is really about. Confidence. You know what to do, you know what to say. And I stay available to you. Also, you are considered a client for the year. I do have to have recertification every year because to stay a client, I do need to see you. So every year at least. And you would be entitled also to individual sessions with me. I do confidence building sessions, and I do have different packages that you can buy that hopefully would be within your budget. And I'm going to break some of them down now. You can get session or 5 session packages, or I'm going to look at a 12 week or 3 month sessions doing it specifically on self-esteem, self-worth, how PTSD affects your life and how you can look at it differently and build some skills around that, or plain old social skills. I want a relationship. I want to find somebody. But if your anxiety or your lack of social confidence interferes, there is a chance for you to just work on it with me individually on that. Or I will also have 3 months groups on these that you'll have a workbook to work in, to work through what is your obstacle, what is in your way. And it's basically a fear and the thought that produced it. I don't know how, what am I going to say? Those kinds of things. And you just learn some skills on ways to deal with this. Okay. It's really about building skills. There's also links to a panic. I have some courses that I've already made on one on boosting your confidence, one on um, how to you can do it yourself for confidence, and on panic attacks, understanding what they are, what are the symptoms, the difference between that and a heart attack, and how to deal with them and cut them off with simple techniques of breathing technique that you can use, or understanding how you are creating these with your thoughts and how to repattern them. So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. So I really want to thank you for listening. And if there is anything that you want to understand more, you can go to, I have 2 websites, anxietysimplified.com, which is going to be more about my courses and counseling. But I do want you to not get stuck. I want you to look at yourself. Are you getting too overwhelmed? So you're waiting too late. Don't wait. You always have resources on the back of your insurance card. There's an 800 number for the mental health services. If you have on your medical card, you have medical benefits, which are considered psychological. And so you can call that number, find out, call the therapist, get in, or like I said, I do individual therapies. You could see if your insurance accepts any licensed therapists, then you could, I'll submit an invoice to you that you can submit to them. But I want you to really take care of yourself and do what's needed always, and check in with us if you have questions. Or for Seraphine's work, which is a little different, she does more healing sessions and courses, but more about your soul purpose, the deeper ways, your spiritual soul level ways to do this. And she has a free course on her website called Soulful Awakenings, and her website is Seraphine.com, SERAPHINE.com. And or to find out more about how to get a psychiatric service dog, you can go to ESA Pros, ESA like emotional support animal, ESAPROS.com. So thank you for listening and joining us today on Anxiety Simplified Show, Going Beyond Psychology. I am Joanne Williams, and together we provide a unique perspective on self-care and inner healing. Even with our dogs, we wanted to reduce our anxiety, but then maybe you can ready to go into deeper issues. You can also look at my YouTube channel, Anxiety Simplified Podcast, where I will post this video. And for energy sessions, you can go to seraphine.com, SERRIPHINE. Or for those, really it's emotional healing sessions with me, you can go to anxietysimplified.com. And to me, it really is about building skills. But this is never a means of replacement for therapy or any kind of medical treatment if you want it or need it. It is always about how you can take care of yourself so you can live your purpose. All right. Bye for now.